Okay, we're live. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? DFS 5-pack, Ryan here, rolling solo very, very late on a Saturday night. Been a very busy day over here. Very, very busy, but I'd rather spit this stuff out tonight so we don't have to worry about getting it to the morning. So you guys have plenty of time to review the information and get prepped for tomorrow's early Sunday slate. We got ourselves a four-gamer, just like we did on Saturday. Let's continue to make things profitable. And if you click the thumbs up button, today is members only for everybody because it's Sunday. Everything starts really, really early. And for paying customers, write-up will be out tonight as well. All right. So before we even get into everything, the last game, Clippers versus Dallas. We've seen this one a few times already, obviously. We got Dallas up 2-1. Luka is questionable. My best guess is he's going to play. He did look hobbled, though. If you saw him in the second half of that game, that shoulder injury appeared to bug him. And I expect him to play. I don't know how effective he'll be. I think it's a wild card. I still think he's a good play. It's not like he didn't put up points in the second half of this one, but he balled early last game. And obviously, Luka has been phenomenal in the first three games, dropping a 71, a 61, and a 71. But, like, if my memory serves me correctly, he went into halftime with, like, 40-some DFS points. And the second half did not go nearly as well. Just something to be cautious for. Obviously, he's still clearly in play. I don't know if I'm going to make him a high-end priority like I did last slate, though. Just to kind of start the slate off that way since, is the biggest money player on the slate. He is worth noting. All right, game one, we got the New York Knickerbockers taking on the Atlanta Hawks. For my money, this is one of the better series out there. The game's in Atlanta. Atlanta's up 2-1 right now. I expect you're going to get your best punches from Coach Tibbs, Randall, Rose, and the boys of the New York Knicks. Now, as far as who I'm looking at, I was talking to a gentleman today about this series, and I have to say Julius Randle to me has been one of the more disappointing performers throughout the playoffs so far. I would love to say this is the time where he gets things rolling, but he has given me no signs of encouragement. So the only guy on the Knicks that I'm really interested in is Derrick Rose, who looks like the Derrick Rose of 10 years ago. I mean, how pathetic the rest of the Knicks were around him on Friday night was, it can't be overstated. He's in the starting lineup. He's playing huge minutes. He is the offense. If I had to guess, so he's dropped to 32 with 37 and a 47. Now, I expect him to drop about 37 DK points. He's playing huge minutes. He's about a point per minute guy like this. I think he's a rock solid play. The price tag is higher. He's earned every bit of that price tag. He is a shortlisted player for me. I won't go as far as to call him a must, but he is obviously the best Nick to play. And the only other guys I'm looking at are the powered forward centers of Taj Gibson and Nerlens Noel. Noel was a beast off the bench the other day. Don't trust the 28 points to come again. I think they're both quote unquote playable, as we don't have tons of pay down options. I don't think either of them is, shortlisted to be on my team. I watched the vast majority of this game on Friday night. And I'll say this, Gibson's 4 missed shots, 3 of them could have easily gone in, and then he would have been, upwards of 20 points. I think he's an okay play. Noel's a little banged up, so I thought what he did on Friday night was really impressive, but I thought he was an okay play and not a priority. As far as Atlanta goes, kudos to Trae Young. I think he's had a nice series. Price tag is up to 8,800. I think he's a fine play. I don't think he's going to be a priority for me. One of the big problems with Trae is he just doesn't give you anything in peripherals. Not a single block or steal, 2 rebounds in 2 games. It's assists and points and nothing else. So if asked what I had to guess for him, I guess I'd give you about 45 DK points. He was hot early last game. He was cold late. He's fine, not a must. Who are the guys that I like on Atlanta? I think my top play is going to be Hunter. He's playing big minutes. He appears to get more and more comfortable. This guy had an extended absence. I think he missed, 2.5 months? Okay, just under 2 months. I take it back. I've watched a bunch of these last 2 games. He's been solid. He gives you small forward eligibility, although you're probably going to use that on Kawhi to begin with, so maybe that part isn't as important, but I think he's one of the better filler pieces out there. Those are really, really big minutes. We talked about Kevin Huerter the other day, and discouraging to see the lack of minutes right here. I don't have a good explanation for it, why he dropped in 27 and 26. I know Collins was in big foul trouble game 2, which could have cut into or why he played extra. Hunter was still easing his way back in. I think he's still in play, but I'm very cautious because, I mean, he had to go 3 or 4 from 3 to get here. You know, it took him 3 blocks in game 2. So I think he's an okay play. I think he'll be very low owned, but, you know, far from a priority. An interesting play is going to be Bogdanovich, who got a nice, you know, it's just a little price drop, but it's a price drop nonetheless. He has been worthy of the price tag. I think he's a solid filler piece. If given the choice between choosing 40 and 20, I would predict 40 DK points. But I think we know about what his role is. He's going to play big minutes. He's going to do a little distribution. He's going to pick up a few peripherals. I think he's been himself, and I think he's a solid play, but not a must. You know, and then the other guy who kind of got a little bit of a spark the other day was Gallo. Had himself a nice game, hit his threes. He's another guy. I think he's okay. I think he has higher upside than Taj Gibson at the same price. So he's in play. He's not a must. That about does it for this game. Moving over to Phoenix against LA. So the main guy to look at from Phoenix is going to be DeAndre Ayton. Kudos to him. He's playing monster minutes. He's playing really, really well. I think the biggest reason to talk yourself out of Ayton right here is if in your heart of hearts, you just believe that the Lakers roll. I think the Lakers do have a roll game coming. I don't think it's today, though. You're going to get the best shot from the Suns. You know, Chris Paul had a couple days off. Maybe he's a little bit healthier right here. I think the biggest thing for Ayton is just the fact he's playing 40 minutes a game, which is a lot more than he played in the regular season. I've been very impressed by the young man throughout the series, and he's a guy I'm very interested in this one. I like Jay Crowder. I've liked him all 3 games. I know he only had 3 fouls in the first game. He's been in perpetual foul trouble the entire series. He got a price raise. I think he's in play, but honestly, probably more likely to get to Gallo or Taj just because of the cap savings. Although if I had one last spot, I would take Jay Crowder over those guys. He has room for upside. Now, what do we do with the guards right here? It's a tough question. Cameron Payne's been phenomenal the last 2 games in their losses, but, you know, Paul's had a couple days off now to get a little healthier. He's going to play. You know, Chris Paul is going to play. I think they're both out of play for me because I don't know what the role is. I don't like either of them enough to get there. So I think for me, it's the big men. It's Ayton, maybe Crowder, and that's about it. As far as the Lakers go, I'm probably not using any of them. I do think like a bold GPP call would be Kyle Kuzma, who's played a little more each series. He's shot the ball terribly. Got his rebounding going the other day, though. Like, if his shots start falling, though, I think there's potential for like a nice game in here, but you got to play a lot of lineups, and it's a bold GPP call. It's not a good play on paper. AD's been better, but he's not a priority for me. I think AD's got a less aggressive game coming, and I think Sunday has an opportunity to be that game. They're up 2-1 now. Not saying it's, you know, a lock for him to be that. I just don't think I'm specifically looking for any of the Lakers. I think mostly in this game, it's probably Ayton or bust for me. So now we get to the game that's got the most potential in Brooklyn against Boston. And kudos to the Celtics for putting up a great fight the other night. You saw what happened when Boston actually played better from an offensive perspective. And each game has gotten a little high scoring with their totals, although I take that. Yeah, just a little bit more high scoring. I think Tristan Thompson, with Robert Williams out, is playing really, really well and really assertively. I think he's a really good look at the center position and has a high probability to make my final lineup. Then I think you have to tell yourself a story again right here. Do you think that Boston is competitive again? I think they deserve a lot of credit for what they did in game 3. To be down 2-0, to be down, I think, almost 20 points in the first quarter, if my memory serves me correctly, and to fight back the way they did. Tatum, Smart, and those guys, phenomenal. I don't trust them today. There's a big talent discrepancy here. I think Brooklyn has a tendency to get bored from time to time, and I just don't think they brought any kind of defensive intensity into this game. I worry about this one, but if you were to like game stack a game, this one has a lot of appeal. The flip side of that is it's hard to game stack this one because then you're probably interested in Harden and KD, And in the playoffs, how the hell do you double up on guys like that? So my favorite plays from Boston are going to be Marcus Smart and Tristan Thompson. Smart's played very well the last couple games. He has no lock to continue to hit threes at this rate. He does enough other things, though. He can miss 2 of those threes and be fine. I think, Marcus Smart or Derrick Rose, give me Derrick Rose. But not by a ton. Kemba's questionable. They say he's going to be a game time call. It's the playoffs. I can't imagine him not playing. I know the knee's bothering him. This is a reason not to play him, but I can't imagine he's not in there. Now, if he's out, I trust them even less. I think they at least need him out there as a decoy. So you might have some Peyton Pritchard. But don't expect it to be like a Peyton Pritchard regular season type of game where he comes in and fills it admirably or anything like that. So I think it'd be, more Marcus Smart at the point and things like that. That could be maybe good for Fournier. But I think Smart's my favorite play. I thought Tatum was great the other day. I don't trust it at all. All right, as far as Brooklyn goes, Harden was awesome last game. Kyrie's got a big game coming. If I'm going to play a stud, I'm going to go with Kevin Durant. He's just the most trustworthy. I think Harden and Kyrie have all the same upside Kevin Durant does, but those guys can alternate, and KD's just there every day. The other guy who was awful the other day, but I think is still a solid play. So I got one thing right and one thing wrong. I predicted he'd play 5 extra minutes with Jeff Green out. He played 5 extra minutes. I predicted he'd play well. He did not. He was terrible. He shot 1 of 5. No blocks, no assists or anything like that. I still think he's a fine play at 4,200. And I'd probably play him above Taj. So I think KD and Griffin. And in your heart of hearts, if you think this game is a blowout, you can give Claxton a look for sure. No doubt about it. You got your Joe Harrises and your Bruce Browns and stuff like that. I'm not likely to get to any of these guys. I got other small forwards I like, and that's only plays Browns available. We saw Joe Harris with the big game. Harden could easily be great again. I'm not going to spend 10-5 on him right here. It's KD or Blake Griffin for me in this one. Moving over to the Clippers, I start with Kawhi Leonard. I expect this one to be a game. Kawhi has been nothing short of sensational on the offensive end. 56, 56, 59. He's still too cheap. This is not regular season Kawhi, who only plays 31 minutes. He's playing 41 to 42 minutes a game. Kawhi's a lock. If you are looking for another guy at the power forward position, check out Marcus Morris. He had been in a shooting slump. He had 3 threes in the fourth quarter the other day. He did foul out. We've seen him with good playoff performances. If you want to go back to his days with Boston, he had some good games for the Clippers last year. He's far from a must, but he's another cheaper guy if you're looking to load up on studs. He's wildly in play for me. And then Reggie Jackson. I'm going to say Reggie Jackson will be quite popular today. He's played big minutes. I don't know. I think he's a solid play. I think if you had to ask me, is he going to go for over 35 or under 15, though, I'd bet on under 15. It's Reggie Jackson. He's no history of being a strong playoff performer, so I don't feel great about it. I think Rajon Rondo, also firmly in play. I'm encouraged that he played 26 minutes the other day. He should be playing bigger minutes. They're a better team when he's on the floor. He's also a little bit more expensive now. And then Paul George is in play. I don't think he's a priority for me. Bad fourth quarter for him. They were kind of, led by Marcus Morris in this one, actually, and Reggie Jackson hit a couple of threes. I think he's in play, but he's not a priority for me at 8,600. Again, fine play, but not a top-end priority. As far as Dallas goes, I like the idea of Porzingis playing better after playing terrible the other day, but I don't trust him enough to put him in my roster. Kleba's going to play. Again, he's still in play. He's more expensive. He's far from a must. I think the big question is Luka, and the difficult part here is it's the last game. You think there's any opportunity he doesn't play? I assume he plays. I don't even really think it's that big of a question. How effective is he going to be? He's had 2 70s and a 60 in this series. If I had to bet on one of them, I'd bet on 60. And honestly, with the punt plays that we have at our disposal, 60 is not enough to dedicate this kind of salary. You do need a bigger score out of him because of the crappy plays that it forces you to make. So, if I'm making a lineup right now at 1:40 in the morning on Saturday night, I mentioned Schroeder, who's been playing better. I think Schroeder is also in play, actually. Okay. I'm starting with Kawhi. Next up, I'm going to go with Tristan. No Bob Williams, or very likely no Bob Williams. I feel pretty good about Ayton. I think the question of Smart or Bogdanovich is real. Let's take a look at Smart. It's definitely a mid-tier build for me today. This is the problem with like KD. I like KD, but the paydown options are not great. So we can go with Derrick Rose. And then you're going to have to take a shot at power forward. Gallo, Marcus Morris, Blake Griffin. Don't love any of these guys. Think they're all fine. And this is one right here where I feel like Bogdanovich comes in, and now you get like a Jay Crowder or something like this. And honestly, I feel fairly comfortable with something like this. And then when you're running your multi-entry GPPs, maybe in one of them, take out Crowder and Ayton here. Play off the notion you think the Lakers roll or something like that. Maybe you take those guys out. Now we go with Marcus Morris. I don't know. Make a couple of changes right there, whatever it might need to be. But that's kind of how I view this one. Kawhi's like the starting lock. I do really trust Derrick Rose. And then you got your Marcus Smarts and Bogdanovich. Kawhi's a lock, as I already mentioned. Thompson and Ayton is kind of where I'm going to go in this one. So I'll take a night to think it over. But, Hunter is the guy I'm missing right here. Of all the paydown guys, I feel very comfortable with him. I wish he had power forward eligibility. He does not. Is what it is. Maybe he's right here. You could, this is one, like, if you like Paul George, which I'm firmly okay with. I don't love him, but I do like him. Don't love these options down here, but you can play around with it a little bit. You guys get the general idea on this one. I'm missing Reggie Jackson right here as well. What happens if we move Reggie into this guard spot? Well, now I got Anthony Davis. Again, not a huge proponent of Anthony Davis, but you guys get the general idea. So best of luck to everybody, and go get your money. Go make some money on Sunday. And Bellman will drop baseball information for you all in the morning. Click that thumbs up button, and memberships are available on the website. Thank you, folks.